Well, hello and welcome once again to Zero Waste Berlin Festival. I hope you're having so much fun and, of course, learning a lot. I want to welcome you to this Reducing Waste at Home workshop where we're going to understand a little bit more about how to embrace the zero waste lifestyle. I'm your host today, and for those who doesn't know me, I'm Vanessa Campitelli, and I am a translator, a writer, educator, and a dreamer from Caracas, Venezuela, with a master in climate change, who has been experimenting with the conscious life in order to share tools of change and educate others about the importance of our planet. Today, we have a special guest to talk about how to start and how to embrace the zero waste living. Let me introduce you to our guest today. She is a sustainable specialist, Monica Rosquillas. Monica is originally from California, USA, but now she's living near Barcelona, Spain. She has a master in interdisciplinary studies in environmental, social, and economic sustainability with a specialization in urban and industrial ecology from the Universitat Autónoma de Barcelona. Prior to moving to Spain, she worked as an environmental educator for several environmental nonprofits and as a coordinator for the San Diego Green Building Council, where she is certified as a true zero waste advisor. Monica has co-authored a Spanish language book titled We Are the Last Generation That Can Save the World, and she shares environmental awareness to an audience of over 20,000 via social media in both English and Spanish. She has practiced a zero waste and plant-based lifestyle for the last 6 years, and she loves talking about their environmental and personal benefits to others. Welcome, Monica.
Thank you very much, Vanessa. I'm happy to be here.
So, Monica, it's really amazing that you have been in this journey, as I like to call, during the last 6 years. But we want to know how you started. What made you to create those changes? What was that interested you to make the transition to a zero waste lifestyle?
Yes, well, at the time, I was working for an environmental nonprofit, and I was already very interested in environmental issues. But personally, I used a reusable water bottle and a reusable bag, but that was it. I hadn't really adopted any of these habits. And as an educator, I did a lot of research for my presentations on landfills, the Pacific garbage patch, which is like this huge plastic soup in the ocean, the animals that eat the plastic, just all of these issues. And I was reading about it daily and talking to kids about it daily. And I just made the connection that a lot of the things that I was doing every day was contributing to these issues. And I was aware of zero waste on an industry level, but not as I didn't know it was a lifestyle that people did this. So then when I was an educator, I wanted to share all of this information to people outside of schools, outside of the classroom. So I started my Instagram account. Back then it was called Girl for a Clean World, and I wanted to share this information. And it was on Instagram that I learned about zero waste lifestyle and that people were doing this. And I immediately just loved it and started to do zero waste things in my own life.
Oh, that's great. Yes, I think that we all start with the same purpose to not only make changes but also to educate. Because once we enter this type of lifestyle, we want others to join us, right? So, what would you recommend to others if they want to start this type of lifestyle? What would you say it was crucial for you during these first stages?
Well, a big tip would be to just know that it's not something that's going to happen overnight. It takes time to change all of these lifelong habits. So, you could start maybe in one area of your home first, in your kitchen, and then once you've got that down, maybe with your wardrobe, and then in the bathroom. So know that it's going to be something that takes time. Also, to be compassionate with yourself. In my experience, when I started doing this, I felt a lot of guilt if I ever like used plastic or didn't ask for a straw. I felt like, I failed at it and I could have done better. But now I don't think that way at all. It didn't help me. It didn't help the cause. It was counterproductive. So just realize that you have to be compassionate with yourself and that it's not all on you. It's a very wasteful system that produces a lot of waste. So just try to, instead of putting all of that energy into feeling guilt, you could redirect it into something else that's more productive. And also to, you know, for me, it helps to know that, yes, I'm doing it for the environment, but it also provides me with a lot of benefits. It's helped
Mm,
me save a lot of money. It's
yes.
simplified my life. Um, I really enjoy just the way of living this for us, like personally. So having that keeps me like motivated, and it's just another reason to continue trying to live a zero waste lifestyle in a world that's not zero waste.
Yes, totally. I agree. For me, it has been, I have been trying to embrace the zero waste lifestyle during the last 5 years. And for me, it has been like, an up and a roller coaster where I have grown, but also I have learned a lot. But sometimes we face some obstacles. For example, during the last month, we have faced the pandemic situation, the lockdown situation. And for example, that time during the lockdown, I had to go to the supermarket that was just in front of my house, and there all the for example the groceries, the vegetables, fruits were wrapped on plastic. And at the beginning, it was really shocking for me
Mm.
because I didn't know. Okay, so do I wait until the lockdown ends or do I eat? What do I do? So thinking about this and remembering this experience, how has experience the living of living a zero waste life from home been for you during this pandemic?
Mhm.
How have you faced, or if you have faced some challenges during this pandemic?
Yes, well, it's definitely changed how I shop for food. The same as you, the supermarkets near my house, um, they would require me to put on disposable gloves right when I walked in. And so I would try to go like, especially because of the pandemic too. It's like, okay, go once a week and then I only use one glove and I don't expose myself or anybody else. Um, and, I would try to buy the things with less packaging. But I was thinking about the big picture, and it was something that was out of my control. Couldn't really do anything about it. I think 5 years ago, I would have felt really guilty about it. But
Mm,
now, there's nothing I can do. And once this is over, I'm going to go back to doing things the way I was doing them, using my own bags. And so keeping the guilt off of myself, and maybe redirecting that into signing the petitions that say you don't the disposable gloves don't really help.
yes.
People need to wash their hands. Sort of redirecting the energy that way. Um, and it also made me value the little store that I go buy my food more. It's not a co-op, but it is an association for responsible consumers and producers. And I would order from them online. They would package it all up, and I would go pick it up. But we shared the same values, in which, like the zero waste values, in which they didn't use any plastic bags or paper bags. They just put everything in a box, and I would go pick it up and bring my box of vegetables home. Or if I would buy like bulk detergent, they knew to use a reusable bottle. And it just made me think about how, it would be great if everybody had these sort of stores in their neighborhoods.
Yes.
And that's what's important, you know, to scale up zero waste and a circular economy for everyone, not just live in my own little zero waste bubble. So it definitely made me value having access to that and thinking how important it is for everyone to have access to those resources.
Yes, totally. And I agree because, well, for example, when I started my zero waste journey, I was living in Venezuela, in Caracas, Venezuela. And actually, the possibilities or options were really, really, tight. There were no a lot of things that I could, like, for example, bulk shops. I didn't have that. So at the beginning, it was kind of a struggle, but at the same time, I understood that sometimes it's about doing what you can with what you have and then going step by step. But sometimes people usually they tell me like, yes, but zero waste is about, it's really expensive, or it's about privilege. What do you think about this?
I think that's a really good question, and there's a lot to think about. Um, I think, I mean, I know I have a lot of privilege to be able to shop the way I do and to live the way I do. I think sustainable living is slow living, and I think that's great. I think just normal life, it goes way too fast, and convenience produces a lot of waste and a lot of stress. And a lot of people don't have the privilege of time to maybe go to two different or three different stores, bulk stores, or to I reduce a lot of my waste by cooking at home, and I love it. I love being able to make my own meals with just fresh fruits and vegetables and bulk goods, and a lot of people don't have the time to do those things. So I think the time privilege and the privilege of living in a city that has uh, a market. You know, you don't necessarily need a zero waste store, but you know, a market, traditional market, sell a lot of bulk items and loose fruits and vegetables. But as far as being expensive, that's the one thing I like to share my own experience with, because I have saved a lot of money living this lifestyle. Yes, like a zero waste toothpaste can be really expensive at like €7, but that's only a small part of a zero waste lifestyle. For me, zero waste is about drastically reducing my consumption. The most sustainable purchase is the one you don't make. And I have stopped buying so many things. My clothes, for example, I'm wearing a secondhand shirt today and jeans. I used to spend a lot of money on like fast fashion clothing, but now I take care of what I have. I buy secondhand. And there's a lot of platforms nowadays where you can do that in Spain. There's Percentil and Wallapop, and I don't know, there's just like so many depending on the country you're in. And by buying less, I spend less. My food, I buy mostly whole foods like fruits and vegetables and beans and oats and rice, and all of that is really cheap. And just by drastically reducing just the little things that I used to buy, maybe going to just a store and saying, oh, this, I don't know, the nail polish is for €4, I'm going to get it. Or, oh, look, a new face cream, I'm going to buy this. Or, oh, look, this shirt is on sale, it's only €10, I'm going to get it. And it was just like these purchases on a daily or a weekly basis that I stopped doing. And I've saved money. And for example, right now I'm sort of on a working vacation in the Alps, and we rented an apartment, and we're doing all these amazing things. And I attribute that to being able to save because of this lifestyle that I live. Mm-hmm.
So this is all
Yes, I can I can you hear me and see me
every
well?
I everybody's
Yes, Vanessa, I couldn't hear you either, but I think your question was if I think this lifestyle is relevant for everyone, including students or people on a budget. Um, and yes, I don't think this, I wouldn't go into say, anybody can live a zero waste lifestyle because it does take privilege. Um, but I think that anybody who is interested in reducing their waste and adopting zero waste lifestyle, they can definitely do something. And zero waste is, the word zero, and I'm sure this has been talked about before, but it's misleading. It's not about producing zero waste. It's really difficult in the world we live, if not impossible. Most of the waste is produced before the product even gets to us. So um, so we can't produce zero waste. But yeah, I think everybody can do something. If you're a student, um, you might not have access to buying food in bulk, but if you're furnishing your apartment, you can shop secondhand. That's cheaper too, and most students do it anyway. That's something that's secondhand. I think that's zero waste. I think a lot of the zero waste things that have been traditionally done for forever are sort of overlooked. You can do clothing swaps with your friends. I did that with my friends without thinking it was something that was zero waste, but we were just like swapping clothing. If you want to do something more, you can organize with other students or in your dorm and start like a composting. If you don't have one in your dorms or in your apartment or wherever you live, you can there I don't I know there's people here from all different kinds of countries, but at least in the United States there were like online stores that would sell in bulk and deliver it in bulk, and so you can coordinate with people and buy like big sacks of nuts or oats and then distribute it amongst each other. So that's something that you can do. um, yeah, I think there's definitely something for everyone. Oh, Vanessa, I can't hear you. I can't hear you. Can you hear me? Yes? Okay. I can't hear you. Mm-mm. Uh-oh. Vanessa, no, I can't hear her. If anybody has a question in the meantime, if you want to type it out and I can answer it while we get Vanessa back. Bea or Nick, I don't know if you're there and you can help us out. Yes, I think, Paul, you have great point. It's all cumulative. Um, oh, Vanessa's gone. Yes, I think it's, everybody has such a different situation in their lives. And I think when you see something on a blog, a zero waste blog, or on Instagram, or at a festival or a conference, it happened to me at the beginning where I wanted to do what that person was doing because that was my only point of comparison. And when I couldn't do it because I didn't have access to it, I felt like I wasn't doing enough. But now I realize that, zero waste is different for everybody, and people have been living in the zero waste form for always, especially people in, my family's from Mexico, and my grandmother has been doing a lot of zero waste things, just because it was a way of saving money and reusing resources. Um, and, I think people now just tend to look at zero waste as what we see on Instagram or in blogs, but it's definitely not that.
Yes,
Vanessa,
I don't know
oh,
if
I
you
can
can
hear
hear
you
me.
now. Great. Yes.
So sorry for the inconvenience. But yes, I was saying, and on that note that you're saying right now, that this is also about being creative. I think this is a way also to increase our creativity, to understand, as saying in the chats, that it's not about being zero waste. It's about trying to experience the fact that you can reduce as much as you can your waste, and act and do something, and not just like, so this is going to be beautiful because I'm going to do it. I want to do it because it's beautiful. So no, it's because you really want to experience the fact that you can reduce waste. And in order to do that, you can be really creative sometimes. So I think it's something that it's about, learning and growing and making mistakes also, to keep learning and keep improving in a way to try to do your best as a person in this crazy world sometimes. No. um I don't know if you have any reducing waste tip hacks you would like to share with the audience. I don't know if what are like your favorite tips, in any category, home, bathroom, kitchen, I don't know.
Yes, I mean, I have a lot. I have a few examples here I'd like to show. So one thing this is like a money saving and waste saving tip is I cook my own lentils, chickpeas, and beans. I buy them in bulk, and for the same price that I can buy like a kilo or half a kilo of organic legumes or beans, it's the same price as a jar or a can at the store. So for me, it doesn't really make sense to buy it canned, especially when it's really easy to just let it soak overnight. And then the next morning, I turn on the stove and let it cook in the morning. And then I have like I made beans today. So I have a whole pot of beans. I have some beans here. Um, I also like to reuse jars a lot. So I actually bought this jar. This is like my souvenir from France because I didn't have any jars here. Um, but for example, I brought some olive oil, some Spanish olive oil in reused jars, and I reuse jars for freezing beans, for leftovers, for buying bulk detergent, for so many things. Another really important thing for a zero waste home is a water filter. I mean, depending on where you live, if the water isn't potable or if it's not tasty, then I would definitely recommend getting a water filter to avoid ever having to buy bottled water. This one was like I don't know, it's like 70 euros a year, I think, with all of the replacements. But it works really well. It's a tap filter. I brought it here for our vacation, but it didn't end up fitting in the sink faucet. But the water here, we're in the mountains, it's pretty tasty, so I didn't need it. For cleaning, instead of buying a bunch of different cleaners and detergents and all of that stuff that's then goes into our water and can pollute our water, and it has a lot of different ingredients that can harm our skin, I used cleaning vinegar for surfaces. And this comes in a plastic bottle, but it's actually a recycled plastic bottle. And I try to refuse plastic in other areas, but if it's recycled plastic, I'm okay with that because there's so much plastic out there. We have to do something with it. So instead of making a new glass bottle, then I'm okay with this being a recycled plastic bottle. And so I use this to clean the kitchen and the bathroom and other areas of the home. Instead of using disposable paper towels, I have these compostable and reusable. I actually don't know what the word is in English for these, but they're just like cleaning towels. I discovered these a few months ago and I really, really like them. I used to just use towels like this, or I had like a designated cut up t-shirt that I used for spills. But these last me months. You can actually put it in the washing machine and they're just great for cleaning up spills. And this one is, it says biodegradable. I'm not sure if it's like compostable, but if you're using paper towels, then I think this is a great alternative. And then just for drying my hands or for packing a sandwich or for keeping bread warm or something, I use towels. So I don't have paper towels anymore. I want to show you something that I just bought here at the Patagonia store. This is a microfiber filter for clothing. Well, this is a cotton shirt, but if your clothing is made with synthetic materials, every time you put it in the wash, it releases microplastics. So I just bought this filter for those. All right, so we only have a few minutes. I'm going to get to some questions. So for anyone who says that zero waste is impossible, well, if they're thinking of zero waste, then I would say that yes, like creating zero waste is practically impossible if you're living in a city and depend on so many services. But everybody can adopt zero waste practices into their lifestyle. Like Zero Waste Chef said, a handful of zero waste or millions of zero waste people doing zero waste imperfectly is a lot better than a handful of people doing zero waste perfectly. So be as imperfect zero waster. So that's what I think. And how has community played a part in your waste reduction, zero waste action? Well, I think being part of the Instagram community that really inspires me on a daily basis, and it gives me a lot of ideas and it makes me feel like I'm not alone. So that has definitely helped me. I don't follow any accounts that make me feel like I'm not doing enough or that are very judgmental about this trying to do everything perfectly. I don't think that helps, but I do follow a lot of great accounts that are very inspirational. In my community where I live in Spain, being a part of this responsible consumer association, really also I feel really supported. I can go there with my jars and my reusable bags and feel like, I fit right in. I think having those types of places is really important. And if I were to move somewhere else and that didn't exist, it makes me feel like I want to start one of those associations. Which I think, if you don't have those resources, it's great to start them or motivate someone else to start those resources. And yeah, I think we're out of time. You can call them dishcloths. Okay, thank you, Paul. I think we're out of time. I don't know if Vanessa's gonna get back in here. But if anybody has any other questions, yes, it's all about maintaining a positive view. Yes, I think that's something that I struggled with sometimes at the beginning, feeling like the responsibility is on me. But now I try to keep more positive, and it definitely helps not to have zero as my goal, but to have this as a lifelong journey. Keep learning, keep growing, and extending it. It's not just me, but it's about creating a world with less waste. Thanks everybody for stopping by. If you want to follow me, I'm on Instagram. It's my name, Monica Rosquillas. And thank you so much.